We're live. Hi, people. I'm hanging on, waiting for you to join in. Hey, boo. Tell me you're the first person to join Omoto Kewuluru. Nice to have you here. Hey. See who is here. Ivy is here. Please let me know you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me and you can see me. Is my video clear? Thank you, Toke. Thank you. Yeah, Ivy, I see your request. I'm going to bring you in shortly. Thank you for coming in prompt. That was a beautiful one. Yeah. Thank you. Joy's here, guys. As you come in, can you just drop in the chat where are you joining in from? Hello, everybody. Where are you joining in from? Good evening, good afternoon. Is it morning at your end? Let me know where you're joining in from. Yes, welcome again to Unspoken, the series. It's been an amazing journey, right? It's been full of emotions for me, and I'm enjoying it. The fact that these are difficult conversation that people run away from. And like I always say here, I love to have difficult conversations. It's better we have these conversations so that people will not make such mistakes. You know, when we have these difficult conversations, we're helping some people to guide against falling victim of this. And it is my own way of helping humanity. You see, when we say unspoken, the pain, the insecurity, the fear of losing a loved one, the fear of rejection, you know, a lot of things together. These are the things that children raised by single parents, by divorce, single parents as a result of broken relationship or broken home. These are the things they go through. And you know, we talk about the parents, we talk about the man, we talk about the woman, but we don't pay attention to the children. And somewhere their quietness echoes their parental separation. Their quietness echoes the pain. And in that, they lose their innocence because their innocence have to fight with the harsh reality of the divorce and separation of their parents. And you see, this leaves the children to wounds. It leaves them to become wounded adults who bleed on everyone they see around. And this is like a cycle we're trying to guide against. This is like a cycle we're trying to bring to your awareness, call your attention to it. Enough of, oh, don't marry children from a broken home. Because these are part of the things that these people see and they try to guide against in their own family members. They say, don't marry somebody from a broken home because they are this, they don't know this, they are that. You know, it's a lot around it. So if you can guide against this emotional damage, this mental health damage that eventually leads to their misbehavior in town, why not do it? And that's why it is difficult, because people don't want to talk about it. I've had different speakers on this show come to talk about their experiences. I have had adults who were raised some of this unspoken trauma that they went through. And last week, I had a mother in the room, a single mother in the room,
who came to share her story of her own journey, how she is raising a daughter alone, and how she discovered that, wow, there's a need to pay attention to this emotion. And she charged us, if you were not here last week, please just check my reels. You will see the replay there so that you can watch the replay. And in all this, we are talking about children raised in broken home, children raised in a relationship that is fractured. And we said, okay, single parents raising a child and all. I thought of the possibility of raising this child as co-parents. It wasn't the mother alone or the father alone that brought the child to this world. Fine, the marriage is broken, but there's a factor in between, and that's the children. So it means the marriage has broken, but there's another dimension to it. You are divorced as the father and the mother, but you are still this children or this child's parents. So there's a need to think about raising these children in an healthy way, so that whatever it is we are trying to guide against, we do it together, not just one person. I have a community where I have about 99 men and women that are divorced men and women, and we talk about a lot of things. And we talk about how the woman, we say there are a lot of ladies that will be like, I raised my child alone, and I tell them there's no trophy. There's no trophy to it. Because either you like it or not, you have put the dent. You did not allow the boy or the girl to have access to either their father or their mother. That's enough. That's enough damage. Right? So there's also this dimension of co-parenting that we need to pay attention to. It is the relationship between you and this person that has been fractured. That is no more. You have your child, and you need to pay attention to your child's emotion. This child did not even ask to be here. Those children, they didn't ask to be here, and we brought them. So what is that thing that people see and talk about? They say, oh no, don't marry her. She's from a broken home. Oh, she was raised by a single father. She was raised by a single mother. And we just continue that cycle unconsciously without paying attention. And this is the reason why I believe in prevention is better than cure. Fine, the home has broken, but we can still bring up those children in a healthy way, helping them see there's a security attached to a child knowing that my daddy and my mommy are in my life. There's this sense of security that they feel. And that is why we want to talk about co-parenting in an healthy way, so that we don't damage our children. It will reduce the level of damage when they get to know that daddy is there, mommy is there. I can talk to daddy anytime. I can talk to mommy anytime. I can ask mommy, can I see daddy? And mommy will say yes. And not, putting pain and just recycling all this generational hate in our children. We need to be intentional. Even though our marriages have ended, we need to be intentional in preserving the innocence of these children. So this evening, I have Ivy Ikpeme. Did I get that right?
Ikpeme-Mbakwem. Yeah.
Okay, Ikpeme, is that Edo?
No, it's Efik actually. Efik.
Oh, really? Sounds Edo-ish kind of. So I have Ivy Ikpeme in the house today, and this lady here, she's just like my sister from another mother because we have so many things in common. And I'm so excited to have her on this show.
Thank
Ivy is
you.
a divorced and she's co-parenting her son with her ex in an healthy way. You need to hear Ivy's story, honestly. You know, when I was having this conversation with her a few days ago, she said, "Hey, sis, if I can do it, anybody can do it." That means it's not a difficult thing. It's not a difficult thing, you know. We just need to know how to manage and navigate all the things attached to it. You see, Ivy is a divorce and a co-parenting coach, and she's here to share our experiences and learnings with us. So hello, Ivy. Nice to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Bulumo. And thank you for having me on the show, on your show. And hello to everyone that has joined. Thank you.
Thank you for choosing and thank you for accepting to come on this show with me. You see, I have been on this journey before, and I know how difficult it is to go on a journey with somebody that you believe, quote and unquote, have messed up your life. Somebody you believe have caused you so much pain. Somebody you believe have caused you so much agony, and you have to swallow your pain to say, "Oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for my son. I'm doing it for my daughter." You know, eventually I discovered that I was not even doing it for her alone.
Mhm.
I was also doing it for myself, because I can boldly say that I am experiencing a very peaceful life now, 12 years after divorce. And it is majorly because we chose to co-parent in a peaceful way. Am I saying it was easy initially? Of course not. So I want to let me just allow Ivy to take it. So Ivy, how did you do it? Do you want to share? I want you to share your experience with us. You're free to be confidential in some aspects, but please,
Absolutely.
how did you do it? What were the things you did? What were the things you went through? And what did you tell yourself that make you go
Okay.
on this journey? Yeah.
Okay. So you're so right, Ebu, because this is really, really a very difficult conversation, for people to have. But I think that once you begin to have it, it makes things very easy. It begins
Mm-hmm.
to, it begins to magnify, itself, right? So how did I do it? One of the very first things that I did was I needed to have a vision, right, of what I wanted my child to experience during this period that we were, going through separation and divorce, right? That's because, my parents are still alive. I've had a fantastic relationship with my parents, right? And so I thought of my son and I said, would I want my son to lack that experience that his father, can give in terms of a relationship? And so that was the very first thing that I thought about. And why did I have that vision, or how did I come about that vision? It was I just had to die to self. Now, I find that most of the time, right, what the main blocker, for us during co-parenting is, or for us to actually have a good parenting relationship, is our mindset, right? We're thinking this person, like you rightly said, this person has hurt me, I'm really angry, even shame can come into the picture, and things like that, right? And so it stops us from actually thinking logically. So we're so emotional. And when things just rear up, and they stop you from actually thinking in a logical way about what really is important. The divorce has happened. That's in the past. Now you guys are moving forward and you have kids between you. So what should be the important thing? and that's the child or the children. In my case, it was my son. So I died to self, so to speak, and had to put my child in front of me. So that was the very first thing, the vision. What do I want to do? What do I want my child to experience? And that's how we started. So that was the very first thing. And even in life, you can't really begin to go on a journey if you don't have a vision of where you're going to. And so, and I likened it to this, to this situation, and that's how I got I started my co-parenting relationship. However, it wasn't very easy at first. So, all the emotions, this is someone you have to see every time that that you have to, exchange, how will I put it now, to hand over your kid to, or, receive your kid. So definitely the emotions were a lot. And so, you get to that point where you're telling yourself, okay, for me, what I did was, after having the vision, I had to begin to talk to myself. Because every time, I had to see my ex, I would feel upset. All the emotions would come up all over again. So I needed to self-talk. So self-talk is very important. You begin to tell yourself positive things, right? Begin to think positive things. Begin to calm yourself down. Because when you're going into that uh that zone, right, with any pent-up anger, that energy, that anger will definitely influence how you communicate, what you do, your attitude and all. And so I had to work on myself. So being able to have a beautiful co-parenting relationship required me to focus on working on myself. So what were my weaknesses? I needed to identify them. What were the triggers? What were the feelings? I needed to understand those feelings and then take control of them. And when I say that, it's difficult, but it can be done. If I was able to do it, anybody can. So those were the things that I started to do. And then the next thing I have to share is going on my healing process. So most of the time, right, people hug pain like a lover. You don't want to let go of the pain. You don't want to break up with that pain. You want to hug it, and hug it forever, right? But, I tell people that I had to actually divorce pain as well. Um, yes, I had to divorce the pain. And so I started my healing journey. And, when you're going through a healing journey, there's so much that you have to do. And it always comes back to you working on yourself. Of course, one important thing is, forgiveness. A lot of people don't know how to forgive, right? But I went through a process of forgiveness. And with forgiveness, it's not a one-time thing. It's something that you do over and over and over and over again until, one day you're not feeling, the anger or the bitterness. So that was something that I had to do as well. I started my healing journey. Um, I want to say something that's very critical here, right? And that is everyone, right, who's going through a divorce feels you would either have an ego about how, of course you have your ego, or pride or shame or, whatever, right? You would have a stance. You would have people around you, your family who actually love you, your friends who would take sides and things like that. And all those things that you are thinking in your head, all the conversations people are having around you, just all those things can actually control and influence your behavior. So one of the things that I did was also to draw a barrier. I had like when I say barrier, the things that you're talking about. So I had boundaries. I had boundaries about things I wanted to hear, right? about my ex, or I just had to stop certain things, listen to certain things as well, because those things will actually control you as well. People underestimate the power of the circle of influence. When they're around you and saying things, it would just control you. So I needed to have boundaries on the kind of things I wanted to be hearing, and even the kind of things that should be said around my kid as well, because you don't want your kids to be hearing negative things. So that also helped me to have a very good co-parenting relationship. Now, if you notice, right, I have not said anything about my ex, right? It's me. It's everything is focused on me. So I needed to do the work. There's one thing I believe is the power of one. One person decides that this is the way I want to go, and you are consistent in that path, you are growing in that path, you are resolute, right? The energy around you is good. Everyone around you, your ex also wants to embrace that. So that was my journey. So today, what would I say now, that we're experiencing? We're experiencing structure, good structure in our co-parenting relationship. So what happens is that we're able to plan, when our kid who's with who, and that's because we went through the legal, route, which made it easy. But then sometimes you might go to the legal route, but either party may not adhere to the rules,
Agree.
that has been, set. But we've really done our best to do that. Another thing that was very important was flexibility, right? So yes, the structure is there for us to guide us. But one very important thing was that we needed to, for me, right? Flexibility was very important. So yes, even though you say, oh, he's meant to stay with you for 3 days or for just the weekend, there was flexibility for me from my part. I think he can stay longer, right? And just because your son also wants to spend time with his father, that's what I thought in my head, and I was very flexible about our time share, with the kid. Another thing that will also helped us is that we plan together. So all my son's birthdays, right? All our son's birthday, we've planned it together from the time we were separated all up to now, right? We go to the location together, we are there together, we plan even the guest list, we plan together. Everything is done in a way that my son is seeing us together, and so even though he's living, in two different homes, one of the things he enjoys is that his parents come together for him. During my son's conferencing, school conferencing, like we even have one tomorrow, right? We plan, we know the timing, we agree on the times, so that we can both be there. And then we see the teachers together, and we have the conversations together. When it comes to bringing up the kid, our kid as well, one very important thing that we've done is that we have shared our values, so we talk about it. There are certain things that he must be reinforced in both homes, and that is one thing that's very critical. So we actually talk about it. We know our sons. How kids can be. All those things that kids try to do, and so those values are reinforced in both homes, right? Which is so important. It may not be 100% the same, but there's specific values that both of us have talked about, and we've agreed that, what, he needs to do this in your house and in my house. Chores, and things like that. Very important, right? So that your kid doesn't think that one parent is the bad cop and, and the other parent is the good cop, because kids have a way of actually doing that, without you realizing it. Kids are very intelligent, and everything. So that's very critical for us. So yeah, and so I think that our co-parenting relationship is very collaborative, you know, very collaborative. So, and that is a word that I do not use lightly. You've got to collaborate. And in collaboration, both of you have your strengths. Both of you have your areas of strength and your area of weaknesses. And you both know. So one of the things that we do is that one person is very strong on one thing and that person isn't. Just try to rise up, for to make sure that at least those gaps are very little when it comes to bringing up our son. Yeah, so we have a very healthy, co-parenting relationship. Are we friends? Because people ask us, so because people are really surprised. You guys, when people see us, right? Maybe when we attend my son's school, and some people don't really believe that we're divorced. So they're really really shocked when they find out that you guys are divorced. I'm like, yes, you guys attend things together. You always, you guys don't even behave like you are. And yes, and so um so this is what I want to say. It was a journey, and it is a journey, and it's a journey that has milestones, right? So you move from here from point A to point B, and then you achieve, one or two, successes, and you're encouraged, and you also know that it's good for you because when you are in a healthy co-parenting relationship, you have peace. You're not anxious. And I'll give you an example. It's very easy for my son to be in my ex's home during the weekend or during his timeshare, the holiday, and I would be calling every single day. So, how is he, wondering if my son isn't eating properly or if, all that kind of stuff. But the truth of the matter is that I don't do that. Neither of us does that because we trust that our son is safe in both hands. We also recognize that both of us love our son, right? And so we're not going to let any harm come to him, right? And that's very important. Another thing that we do, is that we do not intrude in each other's personal lives. So I know it's tough, right, for some people, but it wasn't difficult for me because truly the marriage is over, right? You have no obligations to each other except the kid. So allow your husband to live, or your ex-husband to live his life, and allow your ex-wife to live her life, right? Don't try to get into the mix to find out what's going on. No, because once you begin to do that, right, the energy around you, the energy will always be very, very toxic. And
Yeah.
our children feed off our energy.
Energy.
So,
Absolutely.
so I need that. So those are things that always, guide me. My son is an absolute healthy child, right? He's also very happy, boisterous, very active. He's doing so well in school, very balanced. He was appointed, prefect in school. He plays for school football. He's so confident, right? So, so I'm as I am like this, I am happy because of the choices that I made. It may
Wow.
seem like I was foolish initially, right? But that in the long run, I am the better for it just because I chose this path, which a lot of people
Wow.
find very difficult to do. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Ivy. When we started this conversation, I said something about we need to learn to break the cycle of generational hate. And we should
Absolutely.
start with our children. We need to learn to break that generation.
Mhm.
When you were narrating your story, it just reminded me of what I went through in my own time too. So my house is far from the main road, and we have to trek. And when I'm taking my daughter to meet my ex at the main road, I'm sad, I'm bitter. People are looking at us, and it's as if everybody is seeing what is happening or going on in my mind. She's well dressed. Maybe I'm just wearing a jean and a slippers, and like, your daughter is going out alone. All those questions, and I'm
Mhm.
angry inside me that what kind of a thing is this? But I needed to do it for her.
Yes,
And just like you said, I am better for it. Was it easy?
absolutely.
Of course, you had already said it, that it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but we grew over time. In fact, I have friends, I have family members that are like, why are you doing this? Why will you keep doing this? And you said it, that you have to close your mind, you have to close your eyes, you have to watch the kind of people you relate with, people that will feed your stupidity. You don't need to relate to them. You have to be very conscious, because words are seeds, and people will just sow
Absolutely.
that seed into you, that seed of bitterness, that seed of anger, and you will just go with it. So you
Absolutely.
need to. So we are saying here that we know that it's not going to be easy, but what is the end result that you're looking forward to? What exactly are you working towards? I posted a video, I think it was 2 days ago, and that video was the turning point for me. It was a meeting in my church, and my church invited a guest speaker, and that guy said, you came into this world looking like your parents, but you will die looking like your decisions.
Very true. Wow.
So what decisions are you making? What choices are you making for yourself? Very important. And we need to start paying attention to all those things. Some
Yeah.
of us want to remain in what our forefathers did, what our fathers did, what the society is selling to us about our situation. But I told myself then that I want to make a difference. Did I see any example around me? No. I I looked around me when I was getting divorced. I looked around me and I was like, who can I meet to at least be like a mentor, a guide? And it's funny what came to my mind, right? All I was seeing, yeah, they're angry women, bitter,
Peter.
looking tattered. I was like, no, I don't want my life to be like this, God. What will I do? How will I do it? It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. We're telling you, we're not saying it's going to be palatable, but if you stay focused and your why is the one pushing you, then just like Ivy said, you'll be better for it.
Mhm.
So while you were talking, I can hear in my mind, I told you I have about 99 people in my community, and they can
Mhm.
be handful and dramatic. I can hear somebody saying, hey, excuse me, the guy that is not giving upkeep, I should allow him to be seen, or the lady that is misbehaving and bad-mouthing me up and down, I should allow her to see. Ivy, what do you have to say? What do you have to say in this situation? Because it is the truth. This guy is not giving upkeep. And this guy wants to see his daughter or children. That
Yes.
can be very painful, right?
Yes.
So what do you want to, I want you to talk in regards to, you said it the other time that we should look beyond it, but I want you to actually establish that fact and let people understand that whatever emotion they feel is valid.
All right. So, like you said, the emotion is valid, really. If you're, I mean, so you found yourself divorced, right? Like for me, I found myself divorced, and there's a kid, right, between us, and child support is expected. But one of the things that I found in my own journey was Nigerian law. It's quite interesting. So um, usually the women are usually shortchanged,
Mm,
um, but it's okay because I moved past that.
mm,
And let me tell you how you can move past that. So you're first of all, you must acknowledge that you're upset.
mm.
You're not getting any support, any child support, right? Um, so what do? Are you going to stay upset? I like to be very practical, right? are you going to stay upset? Remember, you have your kid or your children with you. So the very first thing for you to do is to work on your mindset. You need to change your mind and how you think, because there's this thought that says there's this quote that says change
Perception
your thinking, change your life.
and your
Change your
perception
thinking, change your
perspective will
life. Yes,
change. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And
When
you
you change your
change your life.
perception about a situation, the situation
Exactly.
itself changes. Yeah.
Exactly. So how do you empower yourself to be able to provide for your children? One of the things that I used to tell myself was that, okay, what if I found myself, what about widows, right? Widows find themselves alone and there's nobody, supporting them, all right? And so luckily, I had my job, and so I had to keep on going to work. But then, even going through the divorce as well, was quite painful. And so I needed to be very intentional to even be productive, because productivity, I was working in the bank then. So I could not, I could not allow the ball to drop, right? So you need to get yourself something doing. That's what I keep on hearing people say, something doing, right? So I'm just saying that. But you need to actually empower yourself financially where you're earning something. So how you need to get a job. You need to get a job, or you need to look within you to say, okay, even if I can get a job in a structured organization, what can I do, to start a small business that I can use to support myself? Now, this is something that I have to say, because a lot of times, right, when you are used to a certain standard of living, and then you go through a divorce, the very high chances that if you didn't have a very good financial purse waiting somewhere, you know, you would have to reduce your standard of living, even if it's just for a particular period. All right, and so let me say something. Right, when I was going through my divorce, my dad. So I was very, very blessed to have my family just, supporting me emotionally, and just being by my side. There was no condemnation, so that's another conversation we should have, because most times parents, and family would make you feel like you've done the worst thing, or the worst person on earth, because you're going through divorce. My case was different, and I'm so totally blessed to have, parents like that. And my dad said that people are going to talk, like everything you do, people will talk. And you cannot stop people from talking. What you can do is just focus, right? And after a while, you would not, they will either stop talking and go and start talking something about something else. But just focus. And so that's what I did. So even if it meant that I had to go to a smaller apartment, I did that. In fact, I did it, right? I had to go to a smaller apartment, right? Because really, you're now one person trying to pay for your apartment and pay part of the school fees in my own case. And so, you just have to reevaluate things. You have to just have different perspectives, that you're using to make your decisions. The one thing I say is you must have a source of income. You must strive to do that. And just so, if there's anybody listening who is going through a poor, a marriage, and you people are trying to, I don't know, I'm not an advocate for divorce. The one thing I do say that, it happens, it's part of our lives, right? So I like to be real. So if you're a leader and you're going through, your marriage is, you feel your marriage is on the rocks, and you guys have tried everything, and you still feel that it's not working, and you guys are thinking about parting ways, please, very important, you begin to start looking, for, if you don't have a job or something, start trying to build a financial, stability, because you need it, to at least start your life again. Now, the other question about, not wanting the parents, the other parent to see the children of the child. I feel really sad when I see this happen. Children should not in any way be used as collateral damage. They shouldn't. Children should not in any way be used as collateral damage by the parents who brought them to this world. Just think about it. You brought these kids to the world, and then because you guys have differences that you're unable to work through together, you now use the children as, I don't know, do you guys, you know that game, is it that rope game where this, where
Tug
there's
of war.
the tug of war, thank you. Do that. Why will you do that? Why? Why will you do that? A father has a huge contribution to give to the children. It's, men are not just there to give money financially and pay the bills. There's mentorship. That's why you find out that kids have daddy issues and, or loss of identity because they don't know who they are. And that was one of the things that really influenced, my decision to make sure that my child had a relationship with his dad. So why do you do that? And for the mother as well, why would you keep kids from their mother? There's no one that can love your kids as best as you, the father and the mother, whether you guys are living in the same home or not. So it pains me to see, parents making this decision just because of unresolved, differences, just because of anger, just because of bitterness. If you just step back and take yourself away from that situation and watch, really look at your children and how it's affecting them, you will stop. You will stop it and you will think twice. So that's what that's my response, to those two issues.
Thank you very much, Ivy. Um, your responses are so on point. How on earth do you want to use your child as a collateral damage? And this is the reason why we have been on this unspoken journey, talking about the pains, the trauma, the fear, and all those unspoken words that these children go through. They won't say it, but you will see it play out when they grow up. You see it play out. If you're lucky, you still have a 5-year-old. You're lucky, you have 10 years old. By the time they are 13, 14, you see it playing out. And you know what we do? We label that stage teenage. We have forgotten that whatever behavior a child displays at the teenage is an overtime accumulated behavior. The child didn't just get there to start displaying whatever behavior. And so if you have a teenager who is behaving well now, it is because you've been doing it well right from childhood. So we should stop labeling that age, because whatever we do now, we will still see the reason why we're doing all this is because of your future as parents. The good book says, train a
Absolutely.
child the way he should go. It is conditioning. If you condition the child well, you will see the outcome.
Yes.
And I keep saying it that we need to help those children preserve their innocence.
Yes, sir.
It is whatever you put in them. When Ivy was talking the other time, she was talking about watching what we say around the kids, not allowing people say some things around the kids. These are the little things that we don't pay attention to that are very important in the lives of our children. Yes, am I saying it is easy? It's not going to be easy, but you need to be dead to self. Am I saying you should not love yourself? That's not what I'm saying. That's not what we're saying. And we have a way we can help you to navigate through the process. And this is why on Saturday, I'll be hosting a webinar. It's going to be on Zoom, not on IG Live. And the link will be dropped in the chat if you want to be part of this conversation, where you will be taking through the process of understanding how to navigate this. This is a difficult conversation to have. I have been there. I told you I've been separated and divorced for 12 years. But you know, the decision I made is to ensure that my daughter is not stigmatized. Is to ensure that my daughter live a healthy life. Right now, I co-parent. Was it easy? It wasn't easy initially, but we have grown past it. Now we talk, now we communicate, we discuss. In fact, at times the girl will look at us like this, like, you guys are just confusing me. What's the problem? What's wrong with the two of you? You know, that kind of a thing. And this is the level that it is possible. She said something about friendship. You can develop that friendship eventually on the journey. Have you ever thought about it? What will happen on the day? I used to think about it. What will happen on the day my daughter will be getting married? Do I want to have all this negative energy around me? No.
No.
In fact, I think I did a test run. I did a test run on her graduation day when she was graduating from secondary school. So the test run was that it was just my ex and myself and my daughter that will attend. But along the line, I just say, can we have your wife, because my ex has remarried, can we have her join us too? Let her come. Let her join us. And they put us on the same table. We are my daughter's family, right? That is a family, right? And when they were snapping pictures, we took photographs together. And I was right there, I was just imagining, okay, so this is like a test run. But you see, I felt so peaceful. There was no nerves, there was no edges that day. And it was because I have told myself some things. I've told myself, and I know what I wanted. And part of the things I wanted is I don't want that kind of divorce that other people have, that you can't see eye to eye, you can't talk, and the child is suffering. So can we pay attention to the pain of these children? We have a lot of adults bleeding. A lot of adults in our offices, in our neighborhoods, that are misbehaving, and they're like, oh, you don't know. They have a broken home. He was raised. You don't know that her mother's mother had a broken home. Then she also, her mommy, and she also, Kai. I'm a Yoruba girl. I grew up in that environment, and I hear stories. And that's why the things I saw, and I said, no, it's not going to be. Maybe I'm going to be the one to redefine. And I told myself I want to redefine it. So in my own corner, I was redefining, not until I met amazing and fantastic people like Amala Okore and Ivy, and I saw that, oh, it's actually not a big deal. Some people are doing it. When you start it, you think you're the only one doing it. But it is just for you to know that it is possible.
Yes.
It is possible, and everything you need to make it possible. By the time you take the first step, you make the decision, lines will begin to fall for you in beautiful places, and you will be surprised. So this is to say that it is possible. So I don't know, is Joy in the house? Joy, could you please drop the link to the webinar so that people can sign in to join the webinar on Saturday 17th. And please, if you're having difficulty and it's all these things we're saying still looking like what are they saying? Because it's easy for them. They think it is very you don't know my ex. My ex is a difficult person naturally. How will I? It's not possible. Please, you can reach out to any of us. Just send a direct message, and we can pick it up from there and just help you to work on yourself. Remember, Ivy also talked about healing. Healing is very important on this journey. If you're not healed, you see, they said heal people, hurt people, and you don't know that you're actually hurting your children. You're doing it
Exactly.
unconsciously, because hurt people will definitely hurt people, right? Okay, so you said something about setting values when you were talking. Uh, there are times that, because it's easier, we are enjoying the co-parenting. There are times we just want to start having some expectations as if the person has totally changed or you have also changed, and so you start having some funny expectations, like you are not even paying attention to the behavior again, that this person is still the same person. So this person is just being an amazing father or an amazing mother does not mean that person is the best for you as a spouse. So what you have to say in managing our expectations when it comes to co-parenting, managing our expectations when it comes to co-parenting.
Okay, that's a fantastic question, right? Managing expectations. So it's easy to say do not have any expectations, right? But I wouldn't say that. I think you should have expectations, but you should be flexible. So then that's why. Why? And that's because you guys have come together, right? And you've agreed. Let's just say using an experience of you both agreeing that these are the things that you're going to do, right? This is the plan. This is the schedule. Um, this is the time that I'm going to drop. For example, if my ex says, "Oh, I'm going to drop my son off at 10 o'clock, right, or 6 p.m." There's a yes, I mean timing for me is very important. I'm a stickler for time, right? But he may not have that strength. Okay, so initially, right? I mean, if he said he's 6 or 6, I would get upset. Why is why didn't he bring this child back at 6 o'clock? But as I continued my journey of healing and personal growth, and when I say personal growth, I'm very intentional about using that word. That's why I said that you must grow as a person, especially when you're going through a divorce, right? Or you're divorced. So I realized that the timing, it wasn't that, important. I had to work on myself and, become flexible. So if you didn't bring at 6, you could bring at 8, and all that. So what am I doing in that time when he hasn't brought the child? I'll focus on something else. Because where your energy flows, that's where your focus is. That's where your energy
Where your
flows.
energy will flow.
Yeah, so I had to make sure that I was busy doing other things. I'm a very busy person, but so of course it made it easy for me to just put my focus on other things while I'm still waiting for my child to be brought back, right? So I had to reduce my expectations when it came to timing, because not everybody is like me when it comes to timing, right? And so when it comes to values, you mentioned values. I remember saying that we would agree on certain values. For example, he needs to do chores at home, right? Start washing his plates, start arranging his bed, putting things away. Very important. And so we agreed on that. How he does it, in the other home is not my it's not in my prerogative to actually dictate, but we ensure he's doing it in both homes. What about lying? Value for us is about, like lying for most of us, and we talk about it. So the expectation is that when you observe some things, because kids pick up things, from all over, we talk about it, and then together, right? The expectation is that both of us would talk to him about those things that we have observed, so that he knows that, look, it is wrong. And if mom and dad are saying the same thing together to me, it means that I need to, to stop that. It's not right. As against one person saying it and then the other person is not saying anything. So those are the kind of expectations that we have between us, right? Observe, we talk about it. Even about the divorce, right? I remember when my kid was struggling with all the, timeshare in the different homes that initial time. We actually talked about it. I said, look, this child, came having meltdowns. What are we telling him? You understand? And so it was very important that we had that conversation between each other and then with our child. So he spoke to him and I spoke to him as well. That's our kid, right? So I mean, it's just really funny, I mean, God has a sense of humor, right? Where I always say that. So in communication is so important. So if you're not able to communicate in while married, you're communicating now, right? While divorced, and it's working. It's actually working. So when you're setting expectations, always make sure that there's room for flexibility. If there's no room for flexibility, you will be filled with so much anger, and the other party is just, doing their own thing. So make sure that you're flexible, and then don't take things too seriously. I have a friend, Mazi, who always says, "Life is not that deep." To be honest, when I one day I sat down to just reflect on my life, right? Journey all the way to being divorced and having a kid and going through co-parenting. And I think it was one of those days when something had happened and I was so upset. And I just realized, I just sat down and I'm like, look, Ivy, why are you, getting upset? There's another way you can channel your energy, right? You can channel this energy. You can watch a nice comedy on Netflix and laugh your life away. Do you understand? Because it's not that deep in the end. In the end, it's not that deep. So expectations should be had, yes, but flexibility must be there to, guard or to guard your flexibility, to guard your actions and reactions, and also to guide you, in terms of your decisions, yes.
Thank you
And
very much.
I also want to
Yeah,
say
please.
something that I didn't mention, when it comes to co-parenting. Um, when you're kids, so kids will always have, well, I won't say always, in the initial part, until you're able to connect with them when you communicate, they will always have questions. They will always have questions about, you know, um, about why you both of you are not together. Please do not push your kids away. If your kids can't talk to you, they will talk to someone else, and you don't know what that other person else or that person is saying, right? It could be the wrong narrative. You are the one that should be able to tell your kids the truth. It's a difficult, very difficult conversation to have with your kid, especially when it's breaking your heart, and you know it's breaking their heart. But you must find a way to have that conversation with them. Now, let me tell you what this does for them, right? If number one, let them know that their feelings are valid, and it will impact positively their self-esteem, because you're able to talk to them about it, and you've made them understand the situation, they've asked their questions, so they're not going into a shell. So when another child in school says your parents are divorced because of you, or you're from a divorced home, because you've had the conversations with them, you've answered their questions, they might feel hurt. It will pain them, but they will better manage themselves. You don't want your kids to be facing those situations without knowing their identity, without knowing themselves. Don't. And the same thing with, we, as adults, when we go through that separation and divorce, right? Like you rightly said, right? Like you rightly said, people, the society will say, from a broken home, and things like that. I'm not from a broken home, right? My parents are together forever, right? But I found myself in that situation. And I don't want it would be sad to have, people say that about my kid when he grows and things like that, right? But at the same time, we in the society, we need to step back, right? And understand that what we say impacts the next person. It's like racism when you say things like that, right? We need to watch our talk, because what people that are going through divorce require is support and not castigations. Yeah. So I'm just gonna leave it
Thank you
at that.
very much. Yeah, you've actually said a lot. Thank you so much for that. Ensuring that your children hear everything from you. Don't let your children hear from other people. When they ask questions, always prepare your mind to respond. Don't, even if you're not in the mood, manage the situation well. Let them know that, okay, we'll talk about it. Can you give me some time? And use that period to put yourself together to respond to those questions
Yeah.
in a mature way, and ensuring that whatever information you're giving is age appropriate. And this is why we need to be creative with anything and everything we have to discuss or we have to do with our children. I always say it here, and Ivy said it. I'm glad Ivy said it at some point, that see, divorce is not the final answer. If you're here and you're still married and you're going through challenges in your relationship and you're thinking of the exit, please feel free to reach out to me. Just send me a DM and let's talk about it. As long as a physical abuse is not attached to it, all you just need is to just get your groove back and live your life, and will help you to navigate that situation. She said something about managing your expectations. It is that same man that you divorced to, that you are co-parenting with. So don't expect
True.
that some things would have changed. His personality would have changed, and you get carried away, then you get hurt. You get hurt eventually. So set your boundaries. Ivy said that. Try to set your boundaries and let everybody understand the boundaries, right? Communication. When you're co-parenting, don't magnify the negatives. You'll be hurting yourself when you do that. Don't magnify the negative. And that's what she was talking about, being flexible. The most flexible is the most impactful. And that is part of the things I learned on this journey. I remember initially when we're just starting and you want to make a call, you want to make a call and you're doing the sign of the cross and you're angry and you're scared. You're like, hey, how will he respond and all? And you just have to make up your mind to say, okay, let me just make the call. And you make the call and the person is just what? Yes, okay, yeah. And the person just, hey, prepare your mind. Things like that will happen. But
Yes.
eventually, because you are flexible, you desire it, you want a peaceful one, the other person will eventually come round. And that is what I learned along the journey. That was what I learned. And in fact, I used that to speak with my daughter and I see, just give it time. And she saw me give a lot of things time. That right now those things have changed. And so she learned. So your children are learning. You are mentoring some things. You're mentoring them and some behaviors. You're showing them how to handle some things unconsciously with what you're
Yes.
doing. They are
I
watching.
agree.
So we need to pay attention. And that's why we keep saying, see, it's not easy to be divorced. If you're envying the divorce, you want to leave your husband. There's a lot to it. It's a lot of work. You know that work you did not want to do when you were married. You will do the work.
We will do it by force.
You will do the work. It's a lot of work. And I'm not an advocate of divorce. I will never be an advocate of divorce. Because I know marriage can be sweet and enjoyable. Right? Am I
Absolutely.
regretting it? No, I am not. I've moved past that level. My experiences are tools in my hands to help people so that they don't go through it. You don't have to experience it. If you mount on other people's shoulders, see how they do it, then you don't have to experience the pain. And that is why we do a lot of things that we do here. That's why I do a lot of things I do. Okay, so Ankara by Kane says, what if the children did not ask questions? I'm trying to paraphrase now. What if questions are not asked by the children? Ivy, do you want to say something about that? I think she's just saying that
Yes.
what if the children did not ask you questions? Guys,
Yes.
please drop your questions in the chat section and let's respond to it. Remember, your reality is different from mine.
Exactly.
So you might want to share and drop your questions and let's respond to it. We still have about 24 minutes to be out of here. Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to
All right. So
respond to that?
that's an amazing question, Ankara by Keynes. Yes. All right. So if your kids don't ask questions, then your antenna needs to be up because they're internalizing
Mm.
or they're speaking to somebody else who's giving them a different narrative. You have to begin to ask questions. Ask them the questions about how they feel about the divorce. Get them to talk to you. Get them to share, get them to share what is in their mind. Get them to unburden, right? It's very important that you have those conversations with your kids. So if you think they're not asking you, it's actually a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
It's a red flag. It's a red flag because all, all those thoughts are in their heads and they'll be reacting based on those thoughts. But they're not feeling light because what's in their head is not being addressed. So you need to actually ask your kids the questions. Just find a way to engage and be direct, about, the kind of questions you ask them, but let it be an opportunity for them to unburden. Now, if you're finding it difficult, right? Because to be honest with you, not everybody knows how to handle difficult questions or difficult conversations. Then I would say that you would need to get therapy, right, for you and your children. Maybe a mediator, right, that can come in or you guys can see that would help you to answer to or help the kids to share, to unburden. When kids grow up without unburdening, it will begin to play out in their lives, because those things, those issues that were going in their head were not being addressed. And so they would answer it in a way, or there'll be a void in their lives, right? So it's very important that they talk early on. You get them to talk early on. You get them to express themselves. You get them to cry. You get them to feel upset. I'll give you an example um, about kids actually expressing themselves, and you being there to provide that information to them, feedback, make them feel safe. One of those, the very first major meltdown that my son had. He had just come back from the weekend with his dad, and it was me, and I noticed that he was just, moody, right? And before this time, we hadn't really had a major conversation about, because I thought he was still too young and he couldn't handle it. So why am I, why am I even asking him anything or saying anything? So I thought, what, say anything to him, just wait until he's a little bit older. But he was about 5. He was about 5 or 6, between 5 and 6 years old. And so the next thing I know, I remember very clearly, I was on the dining table. He came to me and he was like, this going back and forth, mommy's house, daddy's house. He was just crying. What has he done? This. That's how he was expressing himself as a child. And he was crying, right? And so I held him really close to me. And then I said, and in fact, that was the quickest ever prayer. I prayed. I'm like, God, please help me just talk to this child. And so I shared with him. I told him, that, and I said, you know what? Told him the truth. But for babies, in the baby, language, right? To say, you know what, young, that okay, mom and dad used to be together, but it didn't work out, right? We couldn't stay together anymore. But guess what? We both love you so much, and we can't. That's why we have to both spend time with you at different times, right? But it doesn't make you less of a star, because from sharing the information, you're also giving, building validation, letting the child know that their feelings really count. I even apologized to. I remember saying, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. I actually had to apologize to my child. You understand? And, told him I loved him, that we both loved him, and as he was a star, he was, charm, different, just giving that validation. It was, and you know what? And I had to hold myself from crying. But when my son went to bed that night, I cried like I hadn't cried since I had, found myself separated. It was really painful. But that cry did 2 things for me. It was a cry of pain, but also a cry of relief that I was able to begin to have that conversation with him. And because I had had that conversation with him, he had other meltdowns, and he would actually speak to me about it. He would cry to me about it, and we would talk about it. Because he was also going through a process of healing. If you're not able to express yourself, right, or if someone doesn't give you an opportunity to express yourself, you will not be able to heal. So it's important that you engage the children. Just ask them. If they're not talking, if they're not asking you, make them talk. Make them, you would find that they would unburden, they would cry. Let them know that you're the safe place for them to cry and to ask anything. And then when you're responding, always remember, do not make the other person look bad.
Yeah.
Don't make your ex look bad. Kids are listening. So don't say anything negative. Be as neutral as possible. Take responsibility for whatever you need to take responsibility for, but make sure that you are preserving, that the innocence of the kids in your response. But please engage them.
Thank you very much, Ivy. A lot of times we just assume that these children, well, they're not talking, they're okay. And this is the reason why we tag this series Unspoken. Unspoken, the unspoken pains, the unspoken insecurity, the unspoken fear of losing a loved one, the unspoken fear of rejection. This unspoken fear, unspoken pain leads them to not understanding what boundaries means. It leads them to possessive nature, and they grow up, they become wounded lions. You see them, you talk about them, and they bleed on everybody around them because they pent up all these things. They keep all these things, they're not talking about it. And nobody is asking them questions. Nobody is helping them process those pictures, those assumptions, just thinking. Have we forgotten that they are also humans? They are humans. They have their own mind. They reason. They think. They see things. They have a lot of questions. So as parents in the house, let's be close to let's help them. Let's create that relationship. I know there's a tendency you want to get carried away with your own pain, with your own loss and all. Please, can you also create that space for them? Maybe you should have a
Yes.
to-do list. In a week, have a conversation with them, maybe like twice. Create that atmosphere. And remember, when you're having these conversations, have age-appropriate conversation. And this brings me to this announcement. In the month of April, we'll be having a masterclass. It's a 6 weeks program designed for children in this category. So for those of us that don't know how to handle some of those difficult questions, some of those conversations with our children, we have designed a class. It's a 6 weeks program that we will, we just have this conversation with them. It's going to be a non-judgmental zone. And we're going to have a lot of children in class, but we are going to put them into different age groups. So it is for children between ages 10 and 18. We're going to put them in their different classes, and we have curriculum designed already that will take them through. And this is going to be handling some of those emotional intelligence questions, some of those pains, and we're going to make our coaches available for them to speak with. So we have this class. The class is starting in the month of April, but for this weekend, that's the 17th of February, we're going to have a webinar where we're going to be discussing all this, empowering parents who are going through such challenges on how to navigate this period with your children. Joy, if you're still there, could you please drop the link for people to join the webinar? Ivy, we have a question, and I think that's where we'll close. That's the question we'll close with. And the question is, how do you deal with the fact that your ex has a different parenting style?
Has a different parenting style.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's a tricky question, right? But I'll say this. Even though you both have different parenting styles, there will be one or two things in common in your parenting style, okay? In your different parenting. But it's important for you guys to communicate. Now, one of the rules that I live by is that I focus on what I can control, and that is myself, right? And that is myself, okay? And so, if your ex is having a different parenting style, and you have tried to, talk about it, because you must try to talk about it, but you must be structured in your conversation, right? What's your motive? What do you want to get out of that conversation? What are the things you're going to say? You must actually plan your conversation with your ex, because if you're not planning it, tempers will fly. There'll be, and then you won't get the outcome that you actually want, right? Even the same with, sending messages, right? What kind of messages are you sending? Are they caustic? What kind of words or tone is coming out of your messages? People can feel the tone, right? So if you're not watching what you're writing and what you're saying in your messages, or in your, what will happen is that you would never connect. A lot of people communicate, but they don't connect. Now, if you've tried everything to have a conversation, to arrive at, a your co-parenting, right, where you guys are almost co-parenting the same, then what I would tell you is, please focus on putting in as much value and good as you can in your child. Do your part. You cannot control what happens in the other home, right? Okay, so do your part. If you're having challenges with co-parenting and you would like, support, you can reach out to me and we can talk deeply into this, because I also need to understand what the situation is to be able to give you more advice. But in this particular, share, I would say, if you've tried everything and it's not working, then you need to focus on you, right? That's what you can control, and focus on the value. What value? Make sure you try to pump in as much value, all the vitamins, pump into your child as much as you can, and just believe that, God would, help your child, right, in the, in the, in the journey, in his or her journey, or in your journey. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ivy. That's a very good way of responding to that question, saying that, yeah, you should do what you think is best for the child and ensure that you put the best that you need to put into that child. Yeah, you can't change the other person. You can only control yourself. You can't control the other person. This is the same thing. It's just the same thing when I said it's still the same partner that you parted ways with,
Exactly.
right? It's still the same person. That does not mean the person has changed automatically or something, but you guys are just working towards ensuring that you raise your children in the right way. So please, if you're trying to raise this conversation, have this conversation with your partner whose parenting style is different from yours. She said it. Have a healthy conversation. Don't judge. Don't condemn. Come from the idea of, okay, this person is also trying to help this child. Maybe the person is now not doing it the right way, but we are all working towards a goal, right? So, like I said, some people can be crazy. I'm like, don't answer your daddy. Your daddy is a bad person. Your mommy is this. You don't know what your mommy did. Were you not there? Shebi, you saw it. Please.
That's a
The
no,
children
no.
don't need the children don't need all this energy. Please. Very important. Ankara, I really empathize with you. Ankara Bakens, I really empathize with you, and I'm so sorry your child is going through this, and you as a mother or his father, you're watching your son go through all this. I am very sorry. Please send me a DM. I'm going to reach out to you also please send me a DM. Therapy works. Therapy works. I have a number of coaches that work with me, and our model is very different. And I tell you, therapy works. No matter what it is your child is going through. You said he has become passively aggressive. That's as a result of pent-up anger. Pent-up anger. You know, these are the children that even the school will label them bully. You know, friends will say a lot of things, teachers will say things about them, you know, and this is why we are doing this, to say we have a lot of children going through this unspoken. Do you know that this their pain didn't just start when you got divorced? They have been watching you when you were having all these arguments. They have been watching
True.
you when you were having all these fights. So it
Very
didn't just
true.
start. So it's an overtime pent-up anger, and they will be full of assumption. There are some children that feels, oh, it is because of me, my parents are separating. Oh, it is because of me, and they carry on that guilt, and they are angry, they are sad. You know, a lot of things are happening. I tell you, I have worked with a number of children, and I've worked with quite a number of divorced people, and I know, I understand it. But therapy works. Healing is very important on this journey. All these things we are talking about, if you are not healed, you might not be able to achieve it. If you are not healed, you might not be able to achieve that result of co-parenting in an unhealthy way. And guess what? You will keep damaging these children. And your children are your future, isn't it? So if in your younger years you don't have the peace because of the trouble in your marriage and all, and you grow older, you're not having the peace of mind again, that's going to be a lot. So can we prevent it so that we can have a peaceful old age with our children surrounding our table, right? And we can do it, we can achieve it. Remember, in the quiet corner of your child's heart is the echo of your separation. And they are exchanging their innocence with the harsh reality of what divorce is showing them. Let's work towards helping our children so that we don't recycle hatred, we don't recycle anger, we don't
Yeah.
recycle pain. The leaders you see today, who raised them? If we start asking questions, it will be traced to their upbringing. Some of those challenges will be traced to their upbringing. Who raised them? That boss in your office that is so full of, that is so sassy and full of anger and all, who raised him? How did he or she grow up? In this part of the world, we don't talk about our trauma, but the truth is trauma is real. Trauma is real. And I think for our generation, it is going to be it's a plus to us already that we are aware. And so we should make moves to add our quota to our society by raising healthy children. Let's break that thing they call generational curse. Can we break it? Even though I don't believe it is generational curse. It's just generational error that we are not finding solution to. And this is what we are talking about. Finding solution to this generational error. Let's break the cycle and let's start with our children so that our children will pass the right thing to their own children. And gradually we're breaking the cycle. With this, we come to the end of this evening's show. Please join me on Saturday. Joy, are you in the room? Please drop the link, drop the link, drop the link, drop the link. Let's have people join in for the webinar on Saturday the 17th. We will have Praise for Warware in the house. Praise Forward will be here and he'll be taking us through empowering us on how to navigate this challenge. Yeah, thank you. Please reach out to me. Yes, I'll be expecting your child. Just send me a DM. Joy, please, you can also drop my contact. WhatsApp only, please. WhatsApp only. Joy, you can also drop my contact in the chat section as we round up. Thank you very much, guys. What do you have to tell Ivy? Ivy has been so amazing, going in depth with the conversation, the difficult conversation. You know, one of my friends said, Ebu, why do you like having difficult conversation? I said, because people are running away from it. And this is why we're having all these problems we're having in our world. So can we start having all these difficult conversations? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ivy, for coming. My love to
Thank
your son.
you. Thank
I
you.
love to your son. Love you
Love your
so much.
daughter as
Thank you,
well.
Bolaji Ajao, for joining. Thank you, Ifechuku Adigwe, my boss, ma. Good evening. Thank you, Ankara by Kens. Thank you, Funky7. Thank you, Udo, for always joining. Thank you, Kemi Lush. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. If I didn't call your name, please, I see you. I celebrate you. I recognize you. Together, we can make the world a better place. Let's start. Let's start. I was telling Ivy which day that, see, they talk about only couple, only couple, only couple. Let's start talking about the divorce. We are humans.
Of
We're humans.
course.
We work in offices. We attend the same church with people. We, you know, let's have. Can we bring the limelight? Let's bring the floodlights on
Let's try.
divorced and separated people. And I have started it. Like I said, I have a community. We call them the Sunshine Hub. I have the Sunshine Hub where I have about 99 men and women, and the conversation on that group. And we are helping one another to bear the burden. It's a non-judgmental zone. It's a very safe zone where we have a lot of transformative programs. We organize different things, and we talk about a lot of things on the group. So please, if you want to join the group, kindly reach out to me, and let's talk about that thing that is causing you the pain. Thank you very much, everyone, and good to have you once again. I see you all on Saturday, 7 p.m. on Zoom. The link, I'll put the link, I'll drop the link with this video at the end of the show. Thank you very much, Ivy,
Thank
and have a beautiful
you
rest of the
again.
day.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone, and
Bye.
thank you for joining. Everyone, I see some people I know. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.